Hello everyone, and welcome to this educational PTS Primo charts presentation of trading Bitcoin. Now, today I'm going to show you how simple it is to actually trade this market and other digital currencies that are related to this market. Now, there's been so much interest and so many people asking questions and wanting to actually trade and invest in Bitcoin and other products such as that, but a lot of people are really left in the dark as to how to do it. Now, we're not talking about opening up accounts, we're not affiliated with any brokerage firm, and we're not talking about actual procedures for investment or trading. We're simply talking about that once you are set up, how exactly are you going to trade or get into Bitcoin or other digital currencies? Well, I'm going to show you how simple it is because our strategies, our methods, our techniques work extremely well, and we've shown how they can work in the past, and we're going to show you how they can work in some very current situations. For example, let's look at this current chart of Bitcoin. Now, as you can see, this is going up to this past last week. The markets have been relatively going strong and almost straight up for the last couple of months since September. Well, I'm going to show you with a few simple steps how you could have purchased well in advance of that big run up. And if you missed that first initial stage where you could have gotten in halfway through the upward move, and if you even missed that, I'm going to show you how you could have still taken advantage of this nice upward move towards the end right here. So once again, this promises to be a good presentation. I actually gave this presentation just a few weeks ago or last week concerning our PTS Primo charts and how all of the advantages can help you trade, especially with the Bitcoin. So this is really a great way to trade any market, most especially Bitcoin, because it's an educational portal. It gives you all the answers. It gives you all the answers to questions on where to enter, where to exit, and it will also give you a lot of consistency. So we really feel strongly at Pro Trader Strategies and Specialist Trading that is the educational portal you've been searching for. So once again, welcome. My name is Stephen Primo. I'm the president of Specialist Trading, and I teamed up with Pro Trader Strategies, and in the last year or so we've developed our new platform, which is the PTS Primo charts, where it basically is an educational platform that has everything right there for you in front of you. It's what I've accumulated in my 40 years of trading and made it simple for you so that hopefully you don't have to spend 40 years in a learning curve. You can actually lessen it to maybe a few months or maybe even a few weeks if you're that so inclined to learn all the things that I've put in here. And we make it so simple because it's just one click away. There's nothing you have to figure out. There's nothing you have to formulate. It's all right there for you. So I'm going to show you how simple it is to trade the Bitcoin today using our new PTS Primo charts, and I'm going to show you a lot of examples and a simple three-step process to trading Bitcoin. But before we begin, as always, we are first required by law to show you this, so please take a moment to view our disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results trading this three-step process, but please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future. And once again, we are required by law to show you this. So please take a moment to view the disclaimer, and then we shall begin today's presentation. Okay, so let's take it step by step. And once again, I gave this presentation about a week or so ago, and we had such a response to this. So many people were interested, and they wanted to see it again, and they wanted me to just go through this process. So that's why we're presenting it on a Saturday, on our Saturday edition, just so that you can really fully understand how simple it is. Remember, we're not telling you how to invest. We're not giving you and generating buy signals. We don't believe in that at Pro Trader Strategies and Specialist Trading. We are simply an educational company trying to educate you so that you can put the power back in your own hands. It's been my experience in the 4 decades I've been trading that, most people trade with a recipe for disaster. In other words, going to a signal service or listening to some trading guru or watching what the pundits say on TV in order to take their trading signals from. And this couldn't be, in my opinion, further from the truth in terms of being consistent, because basically when you do that, you're taking yourself out of the game. You're basically telling the markets, I have no idea what to do. I don't have any confidence in my trading ability, and I'm not good enough to be making my own trading decisions. So I'll rely on someone or something else to tell me how to trade. And that to me is similar to a brain surgeon saying, I have no idea how to operate on you. I don't know what to do, so I'll let my assistant or the nurses tell me how to operate on you. I mean, that's ridiculous. You should know coming in to the market, prior to the market, whether you're going to be buying, whether you're going to be selling, where you want to buy, where you want to sell, and where you want to get out. So we share all these things with you in our courses because, once again, we're trying to educate you. We're not giving you any statistics. We're not telling you how profitable something is because everyone should trade differently. It's our opinion that no two traders should ever trade alike. So what we do is we provide you with a standard benchmark for entering into trades or for finding these environments that show high probabilities for consistency. And then we work with you to figure out an entry point. We have tons of different entry points, tons of different exit points, tons of different stop placement. And then you can choose which one makes you feel the most comfortable. So that's what we do at Pro Trader Strategies and Specialist Trading. And most especially, that's what the platform does. It has all these different variables and options for you to choose from, and you can decide how you want to trade. So once again, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin markets today, and let me show you how simple this step-by-step technique is. Remember, this is just a technique. These are not full-fledged buy, entry, and exit zones. We do have that in our courses, but let me share with you just these techniques right off the bat. Okay, and once again, I love to take your questions. If you're new to my presentations, you know that I will answer your questions, but if we are running a little bit late, this presentation will take a good part of your Saturday morning, so I don't want to keep you here that late. So if you have a question, rather than stopping for each slide to pause and answer questions, let's just wait till the last 10 or 15 minutes and I'll get to each and every one of them, okay? So please hold off if you happen to join us late. We have a good crowd here today. If you happen to join us late, please wait till the last portion of today's webinar and then I'll answer your questions, okay? All right, so let's begin this process. How simple is it? All right, well, first of all, step one. What we want to do with the new platform is apply the fluid buy-sell line. Now, this is a new feature we have, and I really love it. We've had tremendous response because it's really helping people see the overall direction of the market, and it helps people to see the momentum behind that. Let me show you what I mean here. As we look at that chart again in Bitcoin, this recent chart coming into the last week of November, this is our new PTS Primo charting platform. Okay, so how do we apply the fluid buy-sell line? Well, all we have to do is go into the upper left-hand strategy tab here. This is the green strategy tab with all the strategies and techniques, and simply click on buy-sell line. Now, once you do that, a drop-down menu will appear. Now, for those of you who haven't attended my presentations before, the buy-sell line is simply the 50-period simple moving average, but it is extremely powerful. In fact, I gave a webinar a few weeks ago saying that this is the one tool I would not trade without. If I were stranded on a desert island, I've often said this is the one tool I would trade with. I could only have one, all right? So we share with you different ways in which to display and view the buy-sell line. Now, most people will plot a 50-period moving average on their chart, but after a while, they'll go to another webinar, they'll see some guy on TV and how he picked the top or picked the bottom, and they'll totally forget about it. They won't be applying the rules anymore. So we've made it simple. We created our fluid feature, which is on the bottom here of the 4 different categories you can use to display the buy-sell line. So what we want you to do is simply click on the fluid feature. And once you do that, the chart you're seeing, the standard chart you're seeing in whatever market you're trading, but in this case, the Bitcoin, will apply the fluid buy-sell line. So how does this work? Okay, we've changed the background of the screen. How does this work? Well, you see here that we have the price bars. They're originally in the red zone, and then they go up into the blue area. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, when price has a background of blue, it's telling you you're in the buy zone. So that means you're never going to be shorting. I don't care if this is a 5-minute chart of Bitcoin or a monthly chart. It happens to be a daily chart. But if you're in the blue background, that's the buy zone. And we never want to be shorting or selling. By selling, I don't mean exiting a position. I mean selling short or betting that it's topped out. We never want to do that if you're in the blue background or buy zone, because odds are with you. If you're trying to be a consistent trader, odds are that it's going to continue to go higher. All right. Now, if price ultimately does cross over into the reddish orange background, well, that's the sell zone. Then you can start to think about selling. So we're never going to be buying in the sell zone. We're only going to be selling. This makes it simple. So see, right off the bat, you're never going to have to ask anyone, well, what do you think about this stock or this currency pair or this digital currency or this future? What should I be doing? Remember, that is a recipe for disaster, trying to get your trading from someone or something else. With the fluid buy-sell line, you always know, well, I should be buying this, all right? Or I should be selling this depending upon where price is. So you see, now you've already increased your odds for consistency, but more importantly, you've taken that first step to being in charge of your own trading. You don't have to go to a chat room. You don't have to watch TV and see what everyone's thinking. You know that I'm either going to be a buyer or I'm going to be a seller. Now, this is just an overall tool of what side of the market you should be on, but it doesn't tell you when to buy and it doesn't tell you when to sell. All right, just because we're in the blue zone or the buy zone, it doesn't mean that you're just going to buy at the market. I mean, that would just be, basically like throwing a dart at a paper with all the stocks or with all the futures or the Bitcoin. All right, so you don't want to trade that way. We need a little bit of structure. Structure meaning that we need some rules or something in place that tells us exactly where to enter, tells us exactly where to exit, and tells us exactly where to place our stop and money management. Okay, so that brings us to step 2. We're going to apply our structure in the form of a strategy. Now, as you can see, we have a number of strategies that I've accumulated and also developed over my 40 years, things that I've taken from the floor and also things that I've developed since being on the floor. But they all come with a certain set of rules, anywhere from 3 to 5 rules making up the structure of these particular strategies. Now, in my opinion, for trading Bitcoin or for most markets, we have 2 strategies that really are the cream of the crop in terms of consistency. The first one is strategy number 4. You've heard me speak about it in other presentations. This is probably my favorite strategy. It was the first strategy I learned from my mentors on the floor some 40 years ago. I continue to use it in some capacity today, and I have found that it works extremely well with the Bitcoin, trading the Bitcoin markets. Okay? So all you would have to do, once again, we make it so simple for you. Even though in our courses we teach you all the rules, you know exactly where a buy setup is generated, you know exactly where to enter, exit, and place your stop. What we also do is provide you with signal alerts. All you'd have to do is come up to the green strategy tab again, click on strategy 4. Once again, a drop-down menu will appear. And let's say that you thought there was a strategy signal that had been generated. In order to check your work, because once again, we're an educational company, we're not just trying to force feed you signals and have you blindly take them. In order for you to check your work, you would simply click on the signal arrow tab. And once you do that, you would see that going from your standard chart, you would automatically have the signals that were generated. You could check your work to see if you were in line. Now here we had a really nice signal generated at the very bottom. All right, did we have any idea that Bitcoin was going to take off like this? No. But the strategy, according to the rules that I've learned some 4 decades ago, said that this is going higher. Now, the personality of this particular strategy is that it's a continuation type of strategy, meaning that it waits for some type of movement, in this case, an upward movement, because we're in the buy zone here, where the background is blue. And then it looks for a pause, and when the strategy determines that that pause has concluded, it generates a buy signal. So the pause kind of went on for a week here, concluded, and it went up a little bit. But overall, we continued to pause, and then it generated another one. And here's where the really nice movement was. As you can see here, we had a nice run up into the buy zone. We kind of paused and went sideways for a bit. And when the strategy generated a buy signal, it concluded that that pause had finished. And look what happened after that. So this is a great strategy to apply if you think there's a pause in the market and you want to see that conditions will now continue in its upward momentum move. That is strategy 4. But there is also another strategy that we feel is the cream of the crop, and that is strategy number 5. All right. This differs from strategy 4 in that it doesn't wait for a pause. If it sees that momentum is strongly moving higher and it continues to go, it's going to jump on board. So this is for the trader who likes some more signals and who likes to trade a lot more than waiting for a pause, who likes to jump in even though price is still going to the upside. So what you would do, once again, we furnish you with all the rules to these. We're not just simply blindly leading you to buy on an up green arrow and sell on a downward red arrow. We want you to know why you're doing something. Remember, that's our goal, to teach you, not to trade for you, but to teach you. So let's say that you learned the rules, you studied the course, you corresponded with me via email, and you feel that you fully understand what generates a strategy number 5 signal. In order to generate an arrow, you want to check your work, so you do the same thing. Come to the upper green tab here, strategy tab, click on strategy 5. The drop-down menu will appear, and once again, you click on signal arrow. After you've done that, Well, now you see that the arrows have been generated. Now this is a little bit different. We've got a lot more signals and we're not waiting for pauses. As you can see, we're buying as it's going up, okay? So this will generate a lot more signals in strategy than before, but it's got a totally different nature to it. Now, once again, you can see that we weren't trying to sell at all while we're in the buy zone. We're only looking for buy setups. Once price closes for a consistent amount of days, let's say 2 to 5 days, then we will start looking for sell signals. Now this brings us to our next technique, which is step number 3. This is applying the early trend detector, which we call the PET-D. This is a tool next to strategy 4 and the buy-sell line that I've been using for roughly 40 years. Now, when I first learned this on the floor of the exchange, we called it the formula because it was something you had to calculate by hand. And it wasn't very difficult in terms of understanding the formula. It was just very cumbersome, where you couldn't really leave your trading screen. You had to virtually be in front of it at all times, looking at certain indicators to calculate, to add, subtract, to multiply, and divide in order to come up with the calculation. So we couldn't apply this intraday because it was just too difficult. By the time you finished one bar, you moved on to the next. We could only use it on a daily or weekly time frames to tell us what the short-term time frame was. But now with the help of high-speed computers and programmers, we've been able to develop it into a color bar algorithm. So I developed this with Pro Trader Strategies, and we call it now the PET-D. This is the Primo Early Trend Detector. So let me show you how this works and how you can apply it to trading Bitcoin. All right, here's our same chart again, once again coming into this past few weeks. And what you want to do is once again go up to our green strategy tab indicated or located at the very top of the platform and click on the PET-D. This is our standard PET-D. Once you do that, the colors automatically change. So what you're seeing here are the trends within the trends. Because we all know that even though we're in the buy zone, the background is blue, we still have some days or some series of days that are going the wrong direction, all right? So what we call these just are simply counter trends. And so we want to wait for these counter trends to end before we get back in. So the PET-D can help us tremendously. So as you can see here, we have the blue background telling us that the overall trend is up. And now we have kind of the limeish green color of the bars telling us that the short-term trend is up. So that's telling us that the overall trend and the short-term trend are in sync. So that's good to know. And as you can see, prices continue higher when that happens. But once we see a red bar, that's telling us that the overall trend is still up because the background is blue, but the short-term trend is down. So should we start to sell and think that we've topped out? Absolutely not, because we have to wait for the overall trend to tell us as well. This is just basically telling us that most likely we're in a pullback or we're in a short-term counter trend. So what you want to do is wait for the first green line bar to appear after a red bar or a series of red bar to tell you that we're back in sync again. See, this is how simple it is. So all you can see is the green bar, and that's your buy setup. Now, we don't know exactly where to get in. Once again, this is just a technique, but in our courses, we have a number of places for you to enter, place your stop, and exit. This is just telling you this is a high probability environment to enter back into the trend. Now, we went up for a day or two, not that much, but as you can see, we were met with another red bar. And then after that red bar, the first green line bar, so that's telling us time to enter again. So you could have entered right there. And look at the nice run up that continued. All right, you could have taken profits and said, boy, that was a nice trade. Wait for another sell-off as we have here a series of 4 bars. All right, these first 3 were down. Now this bar was up, as you can see with the open to close higher range here, but its background is colored red. So that's telling you that the short-term PET-D is still translating that this is in a downtrend. Now, had we gone lower and had consecutive days below into the sell zone, well, now most likely we would have been in an overall downtrend with a short-term downtrend, looking for sell signals. But look what happened. We were followed by a green bar. So that's our buy signal. And coming into this last week or so in the Bitcoin, the markets went higher. You see how simple this is? This is so simple. We're not looking at any type of news events. We are not looking at any type of chat room or trading room for someone to tell us what to do. We're not listening to the guys, like so-called gurus on TV, saying what they think the Bitcoin's going to do. We're only listening to one thing. That's the Bitcoin. That's all we're listening to. The Bitcoin tells us what it wants to do. Now, we've looked at a daily chart here, okay? A recent chart in Bitcoin. let's look at this process applied to longer time frames. Because some people want to invest, some people want to hold this longer, so they're looking at longer term. Well, let's look at the same market, the Bitcoin market, looking at a weekly time frame. Now we're going back a couple of years now. All right. Now, sure, we've had this tremendous meteor straight up market here since December of 2016. But how could we have known to have gone long? How would anyone have known that you should have been buying this thing as opposed to thinking it's just, a bust and it's nothing at all? Well, step one, we apply the fluid buy-sell line. That's going to tell us if we are in the buy zone or in the sell zone. So once you apply that, look what happened. We have been flashing that this has been in the buy zone going back 2 years. So you knew that you shouldn't be selling this or trying to short it, thinking that it was a bust. You knew that, well, until we go into the overall bearish zone or sell zone, I'm not going to sell this. It doesn't mean I have to buy it, but I'm not going to sell it. And that would have been a very smart thing to do. There's been a lot of people betting against Bitcoin, trying to pick a top or a bottom. One day it will go into the sell zone, but until it does, we're only buyers. This is how you become a consistent trader. Listening to the market, and the fluid buy-sell line is a translator. It's telling you what the overall trend is. Next thing you want to do on this weekly chart is to apply some structure in the forms of either strategy 4 or 5. Now, if we apply strategy 4, we see here that we had these kind of sideways movements, and when the strategy determined that the pause was over, you had a nice run up, and then we kind of went sideways for a while. We paused, and then a buy signal was generated, and you had a nice run up. Then a pause for a month or so, and then a nice run up. And then we had this late pause here that was in August, September, and then 2 buy signals generated. You see how that works? That personality of strategy 4 is that it waits usually for a pause, and then it jumps in when it determines that the trend has reestablished itself. Whereas strategy number 5 is different. It generates a lot more signals. It doesn't wait for a pause. As long as it sees, according to its requirements, that there is movement to the upside, it jumps in. Now, some of these signals are better than others. We teach you in the course how to filter out those ones that don't meet your needs. Now, for those traders who like to trade a lot, and this is a weekly chart, remember, once again, you can combine both strategies, and you would have seen you would have a lot more signals to trade from. And lastly, we can use our PET-D structure, okay? We apply the PET-D the exact same way, and since we're in the buy zone, we see a series of red bars. We wait for the first green bar, and that's our buy right here, all right? You had a nice run up for the next 3 months. Coming into January of this year, we have our first red bar, and there's the first green bar following it. So there's another buy setup right here. You have a nice run up, followed by 2 red bars. The first green bar that appears, your buy signal, and look at the nice run up. And then in July of 2017, this past year, we have our first red bar followed by a green bar. Time to get in, and we've gone up ever since. Now, if you wanted to use this method again, all you simply have to do is apply the PET-D after the first red bar. Now, another advantage to this process is that it can also be applied to other cryptocurrencies. All right, there's not just Bitcoin, there's other things as well. For example, there's Litecoin. All right, this is entirely different. It's very similar if you related it to Bitcoin. Let's say gold is to silver as Bitcoin is to Litecoin. If Bitcoin is the gold standard, Litecoin is a lot cheaper, inexpensive, and not as intense or aggressive. Although it is still moving up nicely, and it's another alternative to trading cryptocurrencies. And we can apply the exact same 3-step process. Let me show you on this weekly chart of Litecoin. We applied the buy selling. We know going back all the way back to March of this year, we were in the buy zone. So we know that we're going to be buying this. We have to add structure. So there's strategy 4 and strategy 5. We can add those strategies, okay? And if you didn't want to trade the strategies, you only wanted to trade using PET-D, well, you apply the PET-D, and as you can see, it had been going straight up until September of this year. Just a few months ago, a few red bars appeared, and you could have purchased after each red bar generated a first green bar. Now that's another cryptocurrency. We can also trade Ethereum. Okay, this is another digital currency as well. This has been going up, and we apply the same 3-step process. The buy-sell line, we've been above the buy-sell line going back this past month. We apply different strategies, and even though there aren't as many setups as there would be in the other markets, we are still getting nice buy signals, as you can see, a buy signal after a pause and a buy signal while we're going higher, strategies 4 and 5. Or if you simply wanted to trade with the PET D, we had a red bar down here at the beginning of November, and this was just 2-3 weeks ago. There was a buy signal right here in Ethereum after the first red bar, and we've generated the first green bar, and that's where you would have gone long. So once again, all of our techniques and methods are extremely simple. We take out all of what my mentors called useless noise. And trust me, take it from someone who used these things, meaning listening too much to news, listening to all these traditional techniques such as support and resistance, or volume, or Fibonacci retracement numbers, or institutions, what they're doing. I used those things 40 years ago, and they couldn't make me a dime. So if they didn't work 40 years ago in terms of consistency, I don't think they're going to be much better now. My mentor said, listen, Steve, we've been trading for years, for decades. We never listen to those things, so why should you? So I said, what's the secret? And they said, the secret is learning to listen to the market. So what I've done with Pro Trader Strategies is that we've created a platform that teaches you how to listen to the market. But it's not a black box. We actually teach you all these strategies and all the structure so that you can learn what the rules are. And so you know coming in whether you should be buying, whether you should be selling, why exactly a strategy signal was generated or not. So let's recap before we go to question and answers, and you can explore this on your Saturday morning. Remember, step one, regardless of what market you're trading. Remember, this can be applied to Bitcoin, but it can also be applied to trading futures, to trading currency pairs, to trading stocks. You want to apply the fluid buy-sell line because that tells you the buy zone. It also tells you the sell zone just by simply coloring the back of your screen. Okay, so this is a great feature we have, and so many people have got such great response on it because it makes it easy for you to decide whether you should be buying or selling. But that's not a strategy. It doesn't generate signals. It just tells you whether you should be buying or selling. Now we have to add structure. We have to add a little rules. In other words, we need something to move us, to get us going, and that brings us to step two. These are strategies 4 and 5. We feel these are going to be the highest consistency strategies that you can trade Bitcoin with because they really generate some nice signals. You can see those current signals are in the last 2 or 3 months that you could have taken advantage of. Strategy 4 is based off of seeing a nice trend but then waiting for a pause, so it keeps you out of the market until it requires certain patterns and certain rules to be met, and then once it sees that the trend is about to take off again, it generates a buy signal. Obviously, it would be the reverse if you were going short. Strategy 5 is a little bit different, is that it doesn't wait for a pause. It just looks for momentum, and once it sees it, it just jumps back in. It doesn't care if we've paused or not, if it's in the middle of an uptrend or the middle of a downtrend. It will continue to generate signals. So you can trade these independently. You can trade them at the same time. It makes absolutely no difference. And then lastly, step number 3, we can apply the PET D. Now, the PET D is not a strategy. It does not generate signals in terms of where exactly to enter, where exactly to place your stop, or where exactly to exit. What it does is it just pinpoints very, very fertile ground. In other words, in a perfect environment for entry. So once you see that first green bar in the buy zone, you know that that's the market, not somebody in some chat room or on TV, but that's the market telling you that most likely we're going to go higher. Now, conversely, if we were in the sell zone, then you would wait to see a first green bar appear while the background is red, and then once a red bar appeared, then you would jump back in to go short. So we haven't done that yet. If the Bitcoin tops out and we start to sell off a lot, then we'll have a presentation showing you how to sell Bitcoin. But up until that, we're only going to be buyers. Why? Because that's how you become a consistent trader, by listening to what the market wants to do and then just jumping on board. That's your only job as a trader. You've heard me say that tons and tons of time, but it's true. It's not complicated. We don't have to figure out earnings. We don't have to listen to what the institutions are doing. We don't have to use some convoluted indicators or try to discern what's going on. Our only job is to listen to the market, see what it wants to do. It can either just want to go up or down or even sideways, and then jump on board or stay out. That's it. It's not that complicated. You just make it more complicated than it has to be. That's why most traders fail. If you follow this simple 3-step process, we really think you'll increase your odds for consistency tremendously. And you can do it all with one click using our new PTS Primo charts. I developed this with Pro Trader Strategies to make it as simple as possible. We've gotten tremendous feedback from a lot of our users saying that it makes it so easy that it takes out a lot of the hard work and you can just focus on listening to the market. Well, that's its job. That's why we created it. We're just an educational company, and the PTS Primo charts educate you tremendously so that you really can shorten your learning curve and get on board, okay? So we're also going to include the bonus scanner with our PTS Primo chart. So you have a scanner as well. If you're not able to, be in front of your charts all the time, you can come home at night and see when those signals have been generated. You can see when the PET-D is green or red. You'll have that all in front of you. And this can work with Bitcoin. It can also work with stocks, futures, currency pairs. It makes no difference what market you're trading. So for more information concerning our new PTS Primo charts, contact Pro Trader Strategies. Okay, you can email them at trading@protraderstrategies.com, or you can call them directly at area code 310-598-6677. Now that link you see at the very bottom will take you to a page that tells you about a great offer for a free trial. All right, this is a great way to become acquainted with us for a very minimal price. I believe it's still at $7 or maybe have changed, but for 30 days you get a trial for only $7. It's a great way to become acquainted with us without spending a lot of money. We're not here to rip you off. We're here to teach you. So we're trying to, show you our sincerity by offering you a great deal for such a very small price. So that's not a live link, though. You'd have to copy and paste that onto your browser. But if you go to the chat box on the far right, you see they've posted a live link, and you can simply click that on, and it will take you to that sign-up page. Now, if you want more information about our strategies or about PET-D, because there are different levels and different categories to trading with the PTS Primo charts, contact Pro Trader Strategies. They can answer any question you may have. They can talk about pricing. They can talk about payment plans. There's a lot of different ways to do it with Pro Trader Strategies. They're in charge of that department. I'm in charge of teaching and mentoring all of my students. They're in charge of price scheduling. They're in charge of discounts and in charge of working with customers so that they're happy with their pricing. Okay, so give them a call. There's absolutely no obligation. They have consultants manning the phones. They'd be happy to answer any question that you may have. Okay, with that said, I want to thank you. We've come to the conclusion here. Thanks for taking time out of your Saturday. Now I'm going to open up the question and answer box and answer any questions that you may have. Barbara asked, do you have any charts that show a time to sell? Well, Barbara, first of all, following that three-step process, we're talking about Bitcoin today and cryptocurrencies. So what would step one say? Step one says we apply the fluid buy-sell line. And I'm sure if you've been following Bitcoin or any of the other cryptocurrencies, none of them are in the sell zone. They're all in the blue zone. So I can't give a demonstration on selling Bitcoin today because, as I stated, we wouldn't be selling. We wouldn't be trying to sell it to get out. Okay. Now, our strategies come with sell rules in terms of exiting. I don't want to give up that information because that's part of the course and it wouldn't be fair to the people who have purchased the courses. But we do tell you what to sell if you're long a position. So that's an entirely different category. So we do tell you that, but I just can't go into that detail right now. It just wouldn't be fair for people who have purchased the course. But that is included, okay? But in terms of looking to sell the Bitcoin right now, well, that would, if you were selling Bitcoin, that means you're trying to pick a top. And trust me, there are tons of people who have lost tons of money trying to pick a top in Bitcoin or all the other cryptocurrencies. It can be done, but I would say probably out of the number of traders out there, the totality of all the traders, maybe only 1 to 3% of traders are able to do that consistently. Most of the traders, myself included, like 97% of us, can't pick tops and bottoms on a regular basis. So why even try to? All it takes is a couple of trades to give back everything you made on that one perfect top or bottom. So it's much easier to trade in sync with the market. Remember, our job is to listen to the market and find out what it wants to do. So what is the Bitcoin telling us? It's telling us it wants to go higher. So our job is not to say, well, I've determined that you will go no more higher than you are right now. I mean, that's silly. I mean, who can tell what this market is going to do? So if our job is to find out what it wants to do, it wants to go higher according to our techniques. Secondly, if our job is to jump on board, then that's all we do. We just simply jump on board, okay? Okay, let's go to the next question. First of all, is anyone having difficulty hearing me? Some people have said there's no sound. Many times, if just one person is having trouble, it's because there is a problem with your internet connection. But if there is no sound, please let us know. Remember, this presentation is recorded, so everyone will get a link to this recording if you had difficulty with it, okay? Can you go to a 4-hour CG chart to see a lower time frame and see if it shows the buy signal for Bitcoin, etc.? You know, Jamini, or Dave, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, this is a static presentation. We don't have a live chart of the Bitcoin, so I can't give you that information. I'm sorry. But if you contact Pro Trader Strategies, they could probably tell you. If you call them up, give them a call, they can. They have access to the PTS Primo charts, obviously, and they can tell you exactly if a signal was generated. Amar is asking, do the PTS Primo charts also have Indian markets? That's a good question. I know we have a number of customers in India that are trading with our platform, so I would assume it does. But once again, for further clarification, I would contact Pro Trader Strategies because they can tell you if the platform takes that data. Okay. Let's see. Once again, Dave is asking for me to analyze Amazon and BABA. Well, here's the first thing you can do, because I've already given you this information. Step one. Where is price in relation to the buy-sell line? Now, obviously, you don't have the fluid. If you don't have our PTS Primo charting platform, you don't have the fluid feature. But you all have easy access to the buy-sell line, because all the buy-sell line is the 50-period simple moving average. So remember, our goal is to teach you so that you don't have to ask people, what do you think? What do you think of Amazon? What do you think of BABA? You never should ask anyone what they think of the market, because once again, look at the message you're giving. The message you're giving is, I don't know what to do. Tell me what you think. All right. So if you have a 50-period moving average, all you have to do is plot it on Amazon or BABA, and then ask yourself, where is price? If price is above, then you know you're in the buy zone. That doesn't mean you're going to buy at the market, but that means that you should be looking at Amazon from a buy setup, from some type of buy structure. If it's below, if BABA is below, which I don't think it is, but say something was, well, then you know you're going to be looking to sell. So go and do the due diligence. Go see and go back and look at 10 or 20 charts. See how powerful this simple tool is. And you have access to it right now. The only trouble is that most people forget. They'll apply the 50-period moving average and they'll say, I'll get emails saying, gosh, Steve, this is amazing. I look back at my last 10 trades, and if I would have known this, I wouldn't have lost any money. And then they'll do well, and then inevitably they go to some webinar where some guy picks tops and bottoms, and then they forget all about it. And they go, I don't know, this guy called the top in this one stock, and maybe it works. So they forget all about the buy-sell line. And then they start to use this other top and bottom technique, and they give all their money back. So that's what we're saying. You have to stick with this because it's all about consistency, okay? Every once in a while, there will be a perfect top or bottom that you miss. That's just normal. That's okay. We're looking for consistency here, because finding one trade that makes a ton of money is not going to sustain you as a trader, because mostly the traders I know that have made money trading that way have lost and given it all back. In fact, many of them aren't even trading anymore. So what you're looking for if you want to be a consistent, successful trader is a plan that will have you going forward so that you're trading 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the road. If you don't, make millions of dollars along the way, that's okay, because it's all about continuing to trade and to rack up those winnings, okay? Do you use stop losses as well? Yes, we do. We use stop, you can either, we tell you where you should get out of the trade, in other words. Certain markets allow for stop loss orders, certain markets don't. That's not our job to tell you, which ones. We tell you where you should be out of the trade. So many traders are able to be in front of their charts, or that gives them a warning or something. Then you just simply exit the trade at the market, or you could have a stop loss. It's up to you. But yes, we have them in each and every one of our courses. And in fact, in our courses, we display anywhere from 4 to 5 different stop loss methods, okay? Remember, we give you the information similar to a master chef teaching you how to cook. We tell you all the different ingredients, and then you can decide which ones you want to add to the meal and which ones you don't, because you're going to make the meal, not us. It's the same way with our instructional tools, okay? Some people came in late for the webinar. Don't worry, we're recording this, so you can always request a link to this recording. Ken asks, can you use these same strategies applied to the forex? Yes, Ken. In fact, they all work with any market and any time frame. In fact, I just gave a class yesterday to our forex college. This is a 6-week live class that we've been conducting for just college members, which gives all this information as well as 3 strategies, and also it has one-on-one training with myself. And all these things can easily be applied to forex. In fact, they can all be easily applied to currency pairs. They can all be easily applied to stocks. So it makes no difference. All of these techniques can be applied to any market and any time frame. Okay. Barbara asked, do you have or give directions for opening accounts to trade, including wallets and security keys? No, we don't, Barbara. We're not affiliated with any type of opening accounts or things of that nature. We're not a brokerage firm. We're simply an educational company. Now, we can help to teach you how to trade with whatever market you're interested in, and whatever, say you have an IRA account, or say you have just a regular trading account or an investment account, we can show you how to make your own decisions for that. But in terms of how to actually implement it in that brokerage firm, that's entirely up to you. We're simply an educational company. Okay, our platform does not have order entry or order execution on it, because we're not a brokerage firm. We're simply trying to educate you. But so many traders just have this on their screen and they toggle back and forth to their entry platform, and then they come back to the PTS Primo charts. Dave asks, do you also check price when the 8 exponential moving average crosses over the 34 exponential moving average? No, Dave, that's not part of the prerequisites. Remember, we want to keep things as simple as they can, and I know that's another educator uses those things. That's okay, but it's been my experience that, once you pile on too many things onto your trading plan, you tend to clog it up and it becomes too overcomplicated. Remember, as I've stated numerous times, our job is simple. We only have 2 things we have to do. We have to listen to the market and then jump on board with some structure. Okay, most of our strategies have 3 to 5 rules. That's about it. So we don't clog it up with tons of indicators. Some of our strategies only have 1 indicator. In fact, strategies 4 and strategies 5 only have 1 indicator. They're both related to pattern recognition. That's how simple they are. So we're not looking for those things, okay? We're not looking to overcomplicate things. We're actually doing the opposite. We're looking to simplify things. Simplify things so that's how you can become a consistent trader, okay? Dave asks, where can I go to see the price movement for Bitcoin? Well, there are a number of sites. I would say do a Google search, but once again, you can get a trial of our platform and you can see the price moving with Bitcoin right there. I mean, we have the chart capability to give you that, all right? Which brokerage firm can you go to trade Bitcoin? Well, once again, Dave, we're not in any way affiliated. We don't subscribe to that. I would say just do a Google search as well. Remember, as I stated at the beginning of this presentation is not geared in any way to tell you which brokerage firm you should open an account with or where to look to find out what the current charts are doing. This brokerage, I should say, this webinar is meant as an educational tool that once you're set up, now you know how to implement your own trades. You don't have to rely on some guy on TV or on a webinar. You can do it yourself. That's our only goal, to put the power back in your hands. Imagine an airline pilot having 200 people, in the back of the plane, and he takes the plane off and he says, okay, what do I do now? He looks at a co-pilot or the stewardess and says, how do I fly this thing? Well, that's the way most traders trade. I mean, you would think that's silly, right? And dangerous. But that's the way most traders trade. I would say 95% of all traders trade there. They open up an account, they put their money in, and then they go to a webinar or they go to a chat room and say, okay, now what do I do? All right, or I'm in this trade now. I bought it. Now what do I do? That's similar to flying a plane and not knowing how to land it. So that's why it's been estimated that upwards of 75 to 85% of all traders fail. It's because you're giving your power away. You're basically telling the markets, I don't know what to do. And just similar to an airline pilot saying, I don't know what to do, you couldn't imagine that ever happening. Well, that's the way most traders trade. So we're trying to fill that void of telling you what to do, but then letting you make the decisions, okay? Not us. I'm not here to trade for you. A good mentor teaches his students how to trade, but he does not trade for them. So that's what I'm doing. We're not a brokerage firm. We're not telling you when to buy, when to sell. We're giving you all this information, mentoring you. You're alongside with me one-on-one, and then you go out on your own. That's how you become a consistent trader. That's how I was taught, and that's what I think has been able to sustain me for 4 decades now. So hopefully I can do that with you, my students, okay? Uh, let's see. Winston asks, is the PTS platform designed for you to take the information from PTS platform to your trading platform? Well, once again, we don't have a trading platform, but in other words, I think if you're asking if you want to take the information from the PTS platform onto your personal trading platform, well, yes. In other words, let's say you come home at night, you're working all day, and then you run our scanner on the PTS platform, and you're a strategy 4 trader, okay? You run a strategy either on stocks, on Bitcoin, on currency pairs, ETFs. We provide you with these database of different markets. And then you can choose and say, okay, well, these are all the strategy 4 signals for Monday, for tomorrow, okay? Now, you know the rules. They're not just up and down green arrows and red arrows. You know the rules because you've taken the course, and you know why a signal has been generated. And through my mentoring, you know that some signals are better than others. So then you decide which one you want to take tomorrow, and then on Monday morning, you enter the order through your platform. That's how simple it is, okay? And you can, once you get good enough, you can do this intraday trading. We have a number of traders who do this intraday. And remember, we're not telling you how to enter into the trade. You can, many of our students, I'd say over half of them, trade options. They'll see a buy signal in the current market, and they'll buy an option or a future. It makes no difference. These methods have stood the test of time. They've allowed me to trade for 40 years, so hopefully they'll allow you as well. Laxman's asking, is the data live in your charts? Yes, we have different tiers. Once again, this is a question best asked to Pro Trader Strategies, but there are different tiers. There's live data, there's delayed data, there's the end of night data. You can contact Pro Trader Strategies for the different tiers you'd like to purchase, okay? Ken asks, do the charts work on Mac or just Windows? Good question. They just work currently on Windows now, because I would say, I think we did a study, and I think roughly about 90% of all traders use Windows. And so there just isn't a big enough market to create an entirely different platform just for Mac users. So if you talk to Pro Trader Strategies, if you do have a Mac, there is an inexpensive program you can buy that will transfer and will translate everything onto a Mac for you. And once again, they can fill you in with all that. Anything of a technical nature or pricing nature, contact Pro Trader Strategies. There's no obligation. They'll answer any question you may have. Anything of a teaching nature or of a learning how to trade the strategies or learning what to look for entries, exits, stop placements, contact me as your mentor, and I'll answer any questions since I've been applying them to my own trading for 40 years, okay? So I think you can tell just after this short presentation how powerful these simple tools are on our new platform. And remember, with Pro Trader Strategies, I designed it this way. I wanted it to be simple. And basically, from my own experience, when I was first starting trading, and I still experiment with different platforms while I was designing this. Some platforms are so complicated, even for someone who's been trading as long as I have, I couldn't figure out how to bring up a chart or how to do a scan. It's just too complicated, and I'm sure many of you have. We've made it so simple. All you have to do is click on a few buttons, as you saw there in the strategy tab. It's that simple, and then the chart or the strategy you're interested in automatically appears. It's that simple, and the scanner is even simpler. I've tried some scanners with some platforms where it's taken me over an hour to figure out how to just load a chart and see what the signals are. With our scanner, all you have to do is click on the tab again, and on the drop-down menu, you'll see, signal arrows, you'll see indicator, and then at the very bottom, you'll see scanner. Okay, simply click that on, and it will automatically scan whatever market you're interested in. That's how simple it is. And in about 30 seconds, you'll have the signals for the next day or wherever time frame you're looking at. So we made it simple. And remember, I think there's a great offer for a 30-day trial. That's the link at the very bottom. All you'd have to do is copy that onto your browser or go to the chat box in the far right-hand corner. There's a live link there, and it will automatically take you to that sign-up page. Okay. Listen, I don't want to keep you here all day Saturday morning. I really appreciate taking time out of your Saturday to come listen to me speak, and I really hope you take advantage of our new PTS Primo charting platform. It is, it's gotten rave reviews. We're really excited about it, and we really think it'll help you, okay? Remember, there's no obligation. Contact Pro Trader Strategies. They'll answer any question you may have, okay? And you can, scan different time frames. You can look at different markets. It's all right there in front of you, okay? Thank you so much for attending today. I wish you the best of luck. Have a great weekend, and I hope to see you as one of my students in the platform. Thank you. Bye-bye.